Hi, I'm Michael Senoff, founder and CEO of HardToFindSeminars.com. For the last 5 years, I've interviewed the world's best business and marketing minds. Now my challenge is to build the world's largest free resource for online, downloadable audio business interviews. I've learned a lot in the last 5 years, and today I'm going to show you the skills you need to survive.
Well, and I think that is so much the only difference between me and probably everybody else, and I don't mean it that way. I know egotistically or immodestly, but it is why I got to 9 zeros. It's why I have a permanent place in the Smithsonian. It's why I've won all of the awards I've ever won. It's why everything has happened. I believe I can. I absolutely believe I can. I have enough confidence in me that no matter what the challenge, no matter what the obstacle, no matter what the odds, no matter what the statistics, no matter who's telling me no, that doesn't matter if I believe I can. And when I believe I can, that's the only tool I need in my toolbox to get me from where I'm at to where I want to go, and it works every single swinging time.
Hi, this is Michael Senoff with Michael Senoff's HardToFindSeminars.com. Here's my very first interview with someone who has actually been a billionaire. That's with a B, not an M. This is an interview with a gentleman named Bill Bartmann. It is the ultimate rags to riches, back to rags, and back to riches story you'll ever hear. You'll hear how this once billionaire overcame personal circumstances and tragedy to raise to the top of corporate America. Homeless at age 14, he joined a traveling carnival and then to a member of a street gang to a high school dropout. He took control of his life by taking the GED exam and putting himself through college and law school. Bill then took over a foreclosed oil-filled pipe manufacturing plant and turned it into $1 million a month business in less than 1 year, until OPEC slashed the price of oil, leaving Bill out of a business and $1 million in the hole. Bill refused to give up and filed personal bankruptcy. He then borrowed $13,000 and created an entire new industry, debt resolution. 3 years later, they had repaid the entire $1 million debt. Over the next 13 years, they grew this company to 3,900 employees with revenues in excess of $1 billion and earnings in excess of $182 million. There, Bill pioneered novel financial instruments still utilized today on Wall Street. Bill also implemented unheard-of perks and benefits for their employees, such as salaries at twice the normal industry rates. Bill and his wife, Kathy, have individually graced the covers of national business magazines, Kathy on the cover of Forbes and Bill on the cover of Inc. They were listed individually in the Forbes 400 Wealthiest People in America. One national magazine ranked them number 25. Bill may be the only high school dropout who has had Harvard Business School use him as a case study, has been granted a permanent place in the Smithsonian Institution Museum of American History, has been included in Forbes magazine list of the 400 wealthiest Americans, named as one of the top 100 entrepreneurs of the last 100 years by the Kauffman Center for Entrepreneurial Leadership, allbusiness.com, and Apple Computer. Had his management techniques published in college textbooks and taught at universities across America. Lauded by Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas for his Minority Enterprise Initiative. Acknowledged by Businessweek as one of the top 10 family-oriented businesses in America. Acknowledged by the Working Woman magazine as one of the top 100 best. Appointed by the governor of Oklahoma to a 4-year term on the board of Oklahoma Futures. In 1998, tragedy struck when Bill's former business partner committed fraud and sent the company into a bankruptcy. The U.S. Attorney General, John Ashcroft, indicted Bill on 57 felony counts relating to Bill's partner's activities. This could have landed him in jail for over 700 years. 5 years later, after a 2.5-month-long trial where the government called 53 witnesses and produced over 1,000 exhibits, Bill rested his case without calling a single witness or producing a single exhibit. The jury unanimously acquitted Bill on all counts. Ironically, 17 months after his acquittal and 6.5 years after his company was liquidated, the federal bankruptcy trustee issued his report, which publicly acknowledged for the first time Bill's company, CFS, was not a fraud. This experience would have embittered most people, but not Bill. Bill now travels the country sharing his story of how he created his success and how he dealt with these challenges. It is his life goal to do for failure what Betty Ford did for alcoholism and what Susan Kaufman did for breast cancer. So get ready for this 2-hour interview. We cover a lot of information, and I hope you find this story as riveting as I did. Enjoy. Do you have 5 big mistakes that businesses should definitely not make?
Certainly do, Michael, and you have some familiarity with me, and I tell my audiences that these 5 things cost me $700 million apiece, each of them, so it's a $3.5 billion loss. Rule number 1, or lesson number 1, is to never let your company pay your personal expenses. Most of us in the business world, when we are the sole proprietor or the general partner or we own the corporation, whatever vehicle you happen to use for your entity, it's really our money as we think about it, but we don't think it much matters whether it's the right hand or the left hand or the right pocket or the left pocket. But in the reality of the world, it can make a great big difference, and it made a great big difference in my life. I had a subchapter S corporation that I allowed to pay my taxes, and though that is perfectly legal, perfectly copacetic, well documented, well notified to the whole of the world, at the end of the days when my company got in trouble, the trustee in bankruptcy was able to set aside the very contract that authorized that transaction, which made it an unauthorized transaction, and that allowed him then to sue me to recover all of the money my company had paid on my behalf, which is the sum of $20 million. It was more than the liquidity I had available, and it literally caused Kathy and I to go into bankruptcy. So rule number 1 is never let your company pay your personal expenses. I don't care if it's credit card receipts or parking tickets or lunch or otherwise. Keep your bookkeeping separate. Rule number 2, never ever expect your high-price management to stay alongside of you during a moment of crisis. Now, I'm not speaking ill of people, and I'm not throwing stones or trying to suggest that mankind is bad. Quite the opposite. I'm a strong believer and very, very strong proponent in believing that people are good. People are inherently good. But no matter how good they are, never expect somebody to be inconsistent or incongruent with their basic nature. And the basic nature of a person, you and me and every other person, is to take care of their own family before they take care of somebody else's family. So when a calamity occurs inside an organization and the CEO expects all of his senior managers and senior executives to stand alongside of him, each and every one of them have to ask and answer their own question. Well, standing alongside of my CEO, maybe my former CEO, will that put my own family in jeopardy? And if it won't, then of course I'll stand next to him. Then he's my friend. He's my mentor. He's a person who has been with me all these years and has guided me and rewarded me and paid me, and they have 1,000 reasons to like you. But if the answer comes back different on the very first question of, will this put my own family in jeopardy, then all those other things pale in comparison. They no longer matter, and that employee will not do anything, nor should they ever do anything inconsistent with protecting their family before they protect your family. Now, the value for that to you, whomever's listening to this, is if you know that, if you recognize that and you're aware of that, that doesn't mean you have to think ill of your employees. You just have to be cognizant that if the stuff ever hits the fan, they will probably protect themselves and their family before they will protect you and your family. Knowing that little difference then allows you to react accordingly.
Hi, it's Michael Senoff with HardToFindSeminars.com. Thanks for watching this video. Many of my interviews last 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, sometimes even up to 2.5 hours long. They're actual mini seminars, and you've just listened to a short sample of just one of over 117 hours of exciting, hard-hitting, mind-blowing interviews on how to make money in direct mail, advertising, copywriting. I assure you, there is not a resource anywhere anywhere on the internet or on the planet that comes close to the free information I provide at hardtofindseminars.com. So go right now to hardtofindseminars.com and you'll have free access to 117 hours of audio interviews with typed word-for-word downloadable transcripts and downloadable MP3 files. Please browse some more of the videos or go right directly to hardtofindseminars.com. Thanks for watching.